Yeah.
It's George.
It's Elaine.
Come on up.
Hey, Benny, listen.
I never heard anything like this in my life. Listen to this.
This is exciting! This is exciting! Huh? Did I miss anything already?
Kramer, get in.
Where's the crazy man?
Hey! Sit down. Come on, it's about to start.
Hello and welcome to Seincast, a retrospective on all 180 episodes of Seinfeld, being hosted by two guys who can barely run their own lives. My name is Matt.
My name is Vinny.
How you doing?
Awesome.
Awesome. What episode are we going to discuss today?
We're discussing the 11th episode of Season 2, The Heart Attack, written by Larry Charles, directed by Tom Schronis, and air date April 25th, 1991.
And for everyone listening, Vinny and I are following the episode order on our DVDs, which might contradict the air date order or most online guides. So we recommend everyone pick up Seinfeld on DVD if you haven't already. But if you don't want to, we'll include our episode order in our show notes.
You know, every time you say this little spiel every week, and you know what I think of? You know what I think our listeners are probably doing right now?
What's that?
They're doing Elaine's blah, blah, blah right now.
Well, we got quite a bit of setup for this week's episode, The Heart Attack. None of my notes are organized, so apologies if we are stumbling more than usual. As you mentioned, Vinny, this was written by Larry Charles, who... you know what a big part Larry Charles had to play in the Seinfeld world, but after watching this episode, I didn't realize, I would put him on a level with Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld in the sense of how much he contributed to developing the characters and really establishing the Seinfeld tone.
He's probably number 3 in the pecking order, it seems.
I think what he did with, once again, Kramer this episode, I think more than we've seen before, has a real kind of not selfish side to it, but the characters are definitely messing with each other more than usual, and I think are a lot more sarcastic than we have seen before.
I do see that, yes, now that you mention it. Larry Charles always goes to more darker places, and I didn't realize from a lot of the stuff that was deleted, he really tries to take Elaine to some dark places, and I found that very shocking, so we'll get into that as well.
Sure. I guess just a little bit of trivia at the top. This is one of Larry Charles's favorite episodes. For those of you that have the DVDs, there's a fantastic commentary on this episode with Larry Charles, and he will, sprinkle little bits of his commentary throughout this episode. But he did mention that this is one of his favorite episodes. He was inspired to write this story. At the time, a lot of his friends in their early 30s were maybe a little hypersensitive to little ailments and things like that, and of course, it was nothing, and that's sort of, where the George storyline came from. One other bit of trivia, and I didn't really know how to bring this up in the show proper, but in the commentary on the DVD, Larry Charles did talk about this season as a whole and doing these 13 episodes. And of course, he brought up that Larry David was begging, pleading, praying for the show to be canceled so they'd be done with the torture of trying to produce these episodes. This is the third episode, I believe, that Larry Charles wrote for this season. Before he did the baby shower, the statue, and now the heart attack. Okay. So in terms of writing, he's, carrying just as much weight as Larry and Jerry are. And he brought this up that even though they all thought the show was fantastic, they were struggling in the ratings. They were having tense meetings after read-throughs and run-throughs. Getting the episodes right took a lot of work. They didn't have a lot of experience doing this. None of them did. And they all were assuming that it was going to be over by the end of this run. I don't know if they were living with fear, especially since David was hoping the show would be canceled. They were definitely assuming that, hey, let's enjoy this as much as we can. I feel like Larry Charles, with those comments, really helps sort of establish the tone of these episodes. And even though we've been harsh on some of them, it puts things in perspective that, these guys weren't, mapping out like a 4 or 5 season show. They hadn't hit their stride yet. They were, if anything, they were in the trenches.
Yeah.
And even those episodes that I didn't really care for, like The Busboy or The Stranded, were still some... I think it's damn good,
Yeah.
That
boy's good.
I was quoting the guy who photoshopped Mr. Kruger out of the photo. Okay.
I was doing Coming to America, so I'm way off.
All right. Sorry, enough rambling. Let's get into the heart attack.
I tell you, I gotta say that I'm enjoying adulthood for a lot of reasons. And I'll tell you reason number 1. As an adult, if I want a cookie, I have a cookie. Okay? I have 3 cookies or 4 cookies or 11 cookies if I want. Many times I will intentionally ruin my entire appetite. Just ruin it. And then I call my mother up right after to tell her that I did it. Oh, Mom, yeah, I just ruined my entire appetite. Cookies. So what if you ruin it? See, because as an adult, we understand, even if you ruin an appetite, there's another appetite coming right behind it. There's no danger in running out of appetites. I've got millions of them. I ruin them whenever I want.
It's a solid piece of stand-up. Not my favorite, but it's good. I do like that, we're getting Jerry's lens, as a little kid, because I'm sure his mother told him he was going to ruin his appetite when he was growing up, and this is him kind of perceiving that through a childlike lens. He's like, what's the difference if I ruin my appetite? I got another one coming right away, and I will eat cookies as a meal. So
yeah, as a kid, I always was frustrated when my mom ever said this or presented this idea to me, and I've ruined so many appetites in my adulthood that I kind of understand what she was saying.
Yeah, moms know.
Now, have you noticed? Now we're really getting evidence that the stand-up isn't really tying into the show.
Yes.
This is really just sort of like whatever Jerry wants it to be, just his best stuff. Let's put it at the top, and the stand-up at the end will loosely tie in, but we're not bound to that formula so much anymore.
Now, do you think that takes away from the episode as a whole, or does it not make a difference?
To me, it makes no difference, because I just don't know how long you could do that as the show goes on.
Yeah, to maintain the quality of having solid stand-up pieces that have to relate to storylines.
But, to be fair, maybe they had to do that in the beginning to establish some sort of pattern, some sort of, I don't know, like a pitch. If you were to say, oh, the show's going to be great, we're going to have these little stand-up segments, and they're going to be justified because they tie into the show itself. So it's all one big, tight story.
And that was the idea of the show, was this is how comedians get their material. You see the real-life situation, now you see it translated on stage.
Right. It's as opposed to, I don't know, say a show on Fox, where the comedian just does stand-up comedy in the beginning and it has nothing to do with the rest of the show.
And the name of the show is the comedian's last name.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And he has a kooky neighbor and an ex-girlfriend. Yeah. It's a good formula. It works.
Yeah. And actually a little bit of trivia here on the topic of these, the stand-up not only not being tied to the show, but you'll notice that there's really just stand-up at the beginning and the end of the episode. We don't see it in the middle anymore. And I think this has been the case for a couple of episodes here or there, but I think from this point on, we won't ever see it in the middle again. Jerry even joked, though, that he was being squeezed out of his own show, which I thought was nice. But I'm sure he found it a relief, though, right? How difficult is that every week you have to come up? Well, you either have to use pre-existing material and tie it in, or come up with brand new material.
Yeah, that's got to be umpteen times harder than I assume writing a show is hard enough to come up with an interesting storyline, come up with jokes for that story, and then put it together, apply the dialogue to all these characters. But for a comedian to come up with bits that are good and actually, it's not only just come up with a good bit, which could be anything, but come up with a bit that relates to this topic. You know what I mean? You're putting the person within these confines of this subject.
First scene is in Jerry's apartment, and Jerry's on the couch. For years, watching this episode, I always assumed Jerry was being woken up by the movie, right? He's sort of in a daze.
Yeah.
Or is he watching the movie?
I think, when you come home late and you're laying on the couch and you turn the TV on, but you're kind of dozing in and out because you're supposed to go to bed, but you just lay on the couch.
Oh, sure.
I think that's what he's going through right there.
Okay.
So he's kind of in and out of sleep, and who comes on the telly?
Look, Sigmund! Look at the sky! The planet's on fire! It is just as you prophesized! The planets of our solar system incinerating! Like flaming globes, Sigmund! Like flaming globes! Sigmund!
According to Larry Charles in the DVD commentary, he says this character's name is Zygmunt.
Okay.
And Zygmunt is played by
Larry David.
This is the first on-screen appearance by Larry David. We already heard him speaking in the Chinese restaurant. So
Who said that? What did you say?
That's his first, I guess, voice appearance. This is his first physical appearance as Zygmunt in the movie. Well, this is also what's kind of tricky. I've heard a lot of different opinions on this, that the movie is called The Flaming Globes of Zygmunt. The DVDs claim that the movie is called Like Flaming Globes.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what the movie title is officially.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for the sake, we'll just call it Like Flaming Globes, since the DVDs acknowledge that.
Yeah, and they describe it as a B movie, the type of movie that you see run on cable and get rerun, throughout over the course of several weeks.
How would you describe Larry David's character Zygmunt in this scene? He's got a silver jumpsuit on.
V-stripe and boots. No, yeah. Is he an alien or just a space traveler?
Oh, that's a good question. I always thought he was some kind of like weird alien, but he seems to be a human.
I thought he was an alien too.
Right. What gives it away? The swimming goggles?
Swim goggles that are supposed to be his alien eyes. And then I also thought it was cool. Larry Charles suggested that Larry David be this character, this role. Right. So I like that Larry Charles was responsible for getting Larry in front of the camera, which I'm so happy he did. And every time he's on screen, a smile comes on my face.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's, really only maybe once a season at most. Mm-hmm. Like if you were to spread it out.
I'm sure there's a homage on YouTube of all Larry David's appearances on Seinfeld.
And of course, Larry Charles was inspired by this because he used to watch, he used to stay up all night watching science fiction movies, and particularly in New York, he would grow up watching the $1 Million Movie, and it would run the same movie, 12 times a week, just over and over and over. Now, before we jump into the next little scene here, did you notice on Jerry's table, it's a little package of Pepperidge Farm cookies?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, which always makes me think of the Milano cookies.
Hot seat Milanos?
Yeah. From, what was that episode? The Trip, I think?
Yeah.
Part 1? Part 2.
There you go. I think that's a 519.
And in this next little scene, Jerry's moved to the bedroom, he's fallen asleep, and he wakes up, and it's sort of like a dazed state, half asleep, half awake. He scribbles down what we assume is a joke on a little notepad, and he goes back to sleep laughing.
He's tickled. Yeah, he's tickled by this.
Have you ever had this happen before?
Wake up laughing at something?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Never.
I don't dream in comedy, I don't think.
It happens to me like once in a blue moon, and it's
really?
it's wonderful. I don't wake up where I have to write something down or I have like an idea. It's just I know that I'm laughing in my dream and in real life.
Well, that's nice.
It's not one of those hearty ha ha.
Hate the big coarse ha's. Hate those. Now, this is the first appearance of Jerry's bedroom, correct?
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention it. Thoughts on the bed
It's
frame?
not bad. It's not bad. Do you have a headboard? Good. So he does have a headboard.
Yeah, he does.
So he's not going to hurt his neck.
I feel like we never get a full look at Jerry's apartment, or I'm sorry, his bedroom.
I mean, there are bigger shots of it. So like when Kramer and Jerry are lying in bed, when they share a bed together, patio furniture's on sale. You see a little bit more of the bedroom, but I don't think you ever see a full a wide shot. Of it.
I mean, you get the closet when Marla Penny is rearranging his stuff. Mm-hmm. There's the scene when I know Newman, is trying to cheat at Risk, and he runs out the window.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think the widest shot you ever get is also with Kramer when Jerry's asleep and Kramer's wide awake from all the little micro naps, and he's like, "Hey, buddy." And I feel like you get a pretty wide shot of the wall and the bed there, but I don't know why that kind of irks me as like a Seinfeld fan. Like I want to know what the layout is.
Yeah. You're a completist. That's why.
Yeah, sure. We mentioned the Seinfeld blueprints, I think, in a previous episode, where an artist kind of had to use her imagination, but she came up with sort of how Jerry's bedroom is laid out in order to make a blueprint of the entire apartment. And I think that's, even though it's not, official canon, so to speak, it is sort of like, yes, that is how it should be.
If you Google Seinfeld layout, there's all these images of those layouts online.
Yeah, everyone should check them out.
Mm-hmm, they're very cool.
Yeah, and if also, Vinny, wouldn't you say if you're a Seinfeld fan out there trying to gift another Seinfeld fan?
Oh, yeah. No, you got me those as a gift one year for my birthday, and they're wonderful, and they're going to make great pieces on my wall once I have a wall to hang things on.
Yeah, I know. When are you going to get a wall?
As soon as I get a paycheck.
You're just living with a floor and a little roof.
Little cardboard box.
The next scene is at Monk's, and we have Jerry, George, and Elaine sitting in the back booth. George pulls out a cucumber, just starts slicing it into a salad, and I love this moment. He kind of hesitates right before he takes it out.
He's eyeing the waitress to make sure she's out of view.
Elaine criticizes him, of course, for bringing an outside cucumber, but George argues that they refuse to put cucumber in the salad, so he needs it. Now, I seem to recall, I might be wrong on this, that when Elaine gets the big salad in a future episode, I feel like there's cucumbers in it. I didn't really take the time to look at the episode proper, but...
Anyway, Larry Charles said that Larry David used to bring his own cucumbers to restaurants when they would eat out, and that's where the influence for that little joke came from.
Right, it makes perfect sense if you know Larry David that, yeah, why wouldn't you bring a cucumber to a restaurant?
George is a little bit of an ass, though, when he's like, they don't put cucumber in a salad, and I need cucumber. You know?
And also,
Like,
why
don't
not
get so
just
defensive.
why not just slice it at home and bring like a bag and just sprinkle it on it?
Because then if it's out longer, it's gonna spoil, right? So you gotta
Maybe.
wait. Gotta eat it fresh. This also reminded me of when Jerry and Kramer, they bring their maple syrup to Monk's for the pancakes.
Right. And we know at this point that there might be some tension with Monk's and bringing outside food.
We don't know that at this point.
Well, the fact that Elaine is kind of like, what are you doing?
Right now,
Like,
with the
it's,
cucumber. Okay.
It's, I get the vibe and the fact that George was sort of hesitant to show the waitress that it's a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
And Jerry takes out the note that he wrote last night and he explains to everyone, hey, I woke up, I thought I wrote this great bit, but I can't figure it out.
Let's keep track of how many they're come up, both that appear in the show and then the ones that have been. There are a lot of alternates that were cut or not used, but let's. I'm gonna keep a running list of all of them. We'll do them all at the end as well.
So we've got 2 here from Jerry. What are they?
Furman Hertel Vom. Is that something? Is that a bit? That's the first one. Fax me some halibut. I like that one a lot. Some of the ones that didn't make it were pretty good though.
Mm-hmm.
So
We'll definitely bring those up later. Elaine looks at it and she thinks it says, "Don't mess with Johnny." And Jerry gets really upset. He's like, "Did I insult Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show?"
I love how she says, "Did you mess with Johnny, Jerry?"
Yeah, God, she's. Should we? It's a little early in the episode.
Do it.
She's pretty cute in this scene.
The first cute.
Now, an early draft of the script, Elaine had a different guess other than "Don't mess with Johnny." What was it?
Finally showing Pit Crews.
Okay, I think I like the Johnny one a little bit more.
Oh, so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I do like them because I think Jerry being on the Tonight Show was such a big deal. That's kind of where he got his big break, and I think he always had a really good relationship with Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
So I like when they would kind of inject that into the show because a little bit of reality making it into Seinfeld.
Now, George takes the note and is going to give it a shot, but in the meantime, Elaine asks, "Where's Kramer?" Which I think is really interesting because we've only seen Kramer out of his apartment once.
Busboy
Yeah.
and
Oh, I'm sorry. Stranded,
he went to go get the statue back from Ray
of course.
Thomas.
So maybe this isn't as interesting, but it's we did establish, I think, an episode or two ago that we haven't seen Kramer in Monk's yet, which is so odd, right?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of our next 2 episodes very well, but I wonder if we even see him in Monk's at all this season.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. Jerry appropriately responds that he doesn't know where Kramer is, and that's asking, "Where's Waldo?" Which is great. I mean, I feel like Larry Charles really, just with that comment, "Where's Waldo?" I feel like that really says a lot about the Kramer character, without even seeing him. That
Yeah.
he's unreliable,
Kramer is a real oddball character, right? But from what we're learning about Larry Charles seems like a bit of an eccentric guy. Mm-hmm. So I think he relates to Kramer, and that's why it's probably easier for him to, or yet he has more enthusiasm to write for Kramer's character.
Yeah.
Because as we've seen so far, it's been difficult to service the Kramer character. But Larry Charles has done it with ease. Mm-hmm. And even injected he's put new elements into Kramer's character.
Right. And I mean, there's so much you can put on the page. We would argue that Michael Richards probably brings more to the Kramer character than the writers ever have. But I think the writers have definitely given him just a little bit to work with that he can really develop this character further.
Yeah.
Case in point, though, this episode is definitely that kind of paranoid conspiracy theorist sort of guy.
Mm-hmm. in the first draft of the episode, there was actually some more dialogue, and Elaine was criticizing the way George was eating. She asks where Kramer is, and then Jerry says, "Do you want to watch Kramer eat too? Believe me, that's no picnic. You think George is bad? The K-Man does a grilled cheese sandwich in 2 bites. 1 bite if it's not cut in half." And then Elaine responds, why don't you eat like that? And Jerry replies, "Charm school." So I do like that they used K-Man.
Yeah.
That was nice. I like the reference to grilled cheese. I find it difficult to eat a grilled cheese sandwich in 2 bites.
But you can imagine Kramer, though, like just totally stuffing like a sandwich in his mouth. Like he does the hot dog.
I was going to say, yeah. So maybe I see it.
And that's definitely like a physical moment, which I feel like Kramer, I don't know, it's debatable. Like, is Kramer known more for his physical moments or his, like, the noises and the verbal stuff, like how he pronounces words? And
I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I don't think you got to have both. You can't have one without the other.
So George thinks he's having a heart attack just right out the gate.
I don't think that's what it says. The note.
Right. Oh, very good. I was
Jerry's,
like, huh?
That's Jerry's response.
I think I'm having a heart attack.
I don't think that's it.
I'm not kidding.
What does that mean?
I think what he's trying to say is that he's having a heart attack.
Oh, he's having a heart attack.
Tightness,
Come on.
shortness of breath,
Oh, this is ridiculous.
radiating waves of pain.
I know what this is. You saw that show on PBS last night, Coronary Country. I saw it in the TV guide. I called him, told him to make sure and not watch it.
There was nothing else on. Oh, the left arm. Left arm.
You saw that show on anorexia last year. Ate like an animal for 2 weeks.
Why can't I have a heart attack? I'm allowed.
Oh, he's having a heart attack.
Yeah.
This right here, that, you know, if you don't really know that George isn't having a heart attack and you think he is, the fact that Jerry and Elaine would be responding this way I think is huge for character development, because I feel like the old Jerry and Elaine, while they might not be freaking out in this moment, they would be taking him a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, a little concerned.
Yeah, like you wouldn't introduce a heart attack to an episode, I feel, earlier on, when now you can kind of get that the George character might be not a bit of a hypochondriac, but he's not, but he's full of shit.
Right. Well, that was going to be my argument. We don't know that he's a hypochondriac just yet, right? This is probably where it first gets introduced.
Yeah, that he definitely has like a fear of dying, or, you know, whether it's the what is it, the little white spot on his body, you know, God's going to kill me, you know, gives me this, you know, terminal illness.
But because we don't know that it has been established that he's a hypochondriac, yes, the reaction that Jerry and Elaine take seems a bit more new Jerry and Elaine versus, since we don't know, you would think they'd be more concerned. Oh, you're having a heart attack? You know?
Right. Exactly. I guess what we're saying is, like, if we knew George was more, you know, full of it, like, their reaction would be justified.
Yeah.
But heart attack just seems so extreme that, you know, why wouldn't you take it seriously?
Yeah. But for a 33-year-old guy, although it can't happen, but
Sure.
perhaps that's another reason why they're not leaping across the table. Mm-hmm. And then I love that he saw the show on anorexia last year and he ate like an animal for 2 weeks.
That's really good. Well, there's this moment here where, and this I think is the point when you realize, okay, George is really full of it, where he really breaks character and he's like, why can't I have a heart attack? I'm allowed.
Yeah. So what? You want me to take you to the hospital?
Yes, George says Manhattan Memorial, less of a line. Even there, it's like he's concerned about the line while having a heart attack. It's like, dude, if you're having a heart attack, I'm sure you'll be taken right to the front. I would hope you would be, at least. Mm-hmm. So Jerry goes off to call an ambulance, and the waitress drops off the check. But
before you go on, the waitress, I want to talk about the waitress. She is played by Heather James, and she comes back to play the waitress again in The Keys. So she's in 2 Seinfeld episodes.
So is she a double dipper?
Nope.
No,
Same character.
Okay.
But I just like pointing out all the, you know, little guests and side characters that come into play.
George has the nerve to look at it and try to correct her, you know, while he's in the middle of having a heart attack.
That just defines George to a T.
Right.
To be in the middle of this life-threatening situation and he's still got to tally up the bill and make sure he's getting the right change.
I don't know. It has even more layers than, oh, he's having a heart attack and he's going to correct her. That's so George. But the fact that he's not really having a heart attack and he's convincing himself, but he's able to correct it. It's so like layered in my opinion in terms of like complexity. Now there's a weird moment here, right when the waitress drops off the check. If you look out the window, that you see Jerry outside, just his head.
I never noticed that in all these years.
Me either. This is right when I think the waitress, just drops off the check. And even Elaine looks out the window, I think, briefly.
Yes, she peels the curtain back a little bit.
Now, in some deleted scene footage for this episode, which, we talk a lot about lines that were supposed to be in the script or deleted scenes. We won't go into it that much because it's kind of hard for a...
audio medium to describe a visual scene.
But... in short, there was just a lot more jokes and back and forth when they were sitting at the diner table at the booth. And when Jerry says, "Do you want me to call an ambulance?" there's some more bickering. And eventually he says, "I'll just hail a cab." Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I guess because that line was tied into more jokes and more, which would add to the runtime, Jerry just goes outside to look for a cab. And I don't know. I think it was a pretty good cut because we never noticed him there.
Yeah, and... you could also argue that he's going to get a payphone, even though there might be a payphone, or there is a payphone in Monk's. Mm-hmm. He could be going outside to use a payphone because the other one's occupied.
He's kind of just wandering, though.
That's true.
He lingers for a while.
Well, remember when Elaine got bit by the dog and he goes outside of the optical store and he goes, "Taxi!"
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Next scene is at the hospital. George is laying in bed, and he hears someone moaning on the other side of the curtain, right? It's his roommate.
So that man is played by Pat Hazel, or Hazel. He was a writer on Seinfeld during the first season, and he also was the warm-up comedian for the studio audiences. And you can actually see him in the pilot episode in season 4. That's him. That's Pat Hazel. He is warming up the audience in the show within the show. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. I didn't know when I was at least younger. I didn't know that a lot of these shows had, warm-up comedians, and
nor did I.
I think it's interesting though that he wrote for Seinfeld in its first season. But so I guess during our coverage of season 1, we had Larry and Jerry as sort of the main writers. Matt Goldman was there, but I had never heard of Pat Hazel. I wonder if he just contributed a few jokes here or there.
Yeah, who knows?
Are you okay? I'm George. George Costanza. I've never been in the hospital a day in my life. Except when I had my tonsils out. They never gave me any ice cream. I always felt that if they...
So Jerry's outside talking to one of the nurses about what she thinks the note says. And what does she say here, Vinny?
Salami, bologna. Definitely.
Jerry doesn't see it.
No. The nurse is played by Sharon McKnight, and she was actually supposed to have a little bit of a larger part in this episode, but that was cut out. I thought it was funny, though. I thought you can see some of these potential scribblings on the note. Some of them kind of match up in terms of, like, it starts with an F. Furman, Hertel, Vom, fax me some halibut. There's kind of some flow to it and similar wording, but now they're just getting ridiculous. Salami, bologna. Mm-hmm. And an alternate line from the nurse, which I really like, was framing guilty Hebrews. That one makes me think Larry David put that one in there.
Yeah, I think so. But that definitely fits with the F, second word, and then an H word.
Yes.
That's very similar with the fax me some halibut.
And Furman, Hertel, Vom.
Mm-hmm. So Doctor walks by Jerry and he tells him that George didn't have a heart attack and he'll be in soon. And this moment here, just this reoccurring theme of characters, it's not like they're happy, but Jerry's like, what a surprise. Like he knew George was full of it.
And then he proceeds to, I'm going to screw with him. I'm not going to be compassionate and be like, oh, I'm glad you're okay. Let me screw with him in several steps and escalate it.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like, oh, how quickly you forget. But I feel like this might be like the first moment of characters really, really screwing each other over. and really messing with the other one. You know, usually in the moment it's really small, little joke here or there, but this is a real long, drawn out joke he's playing on him.
And it's character 1, Jerry does it, and then character 2, Elaine's going to do it too. Mm-hmm. You know, so it builds. And
I feel like we do this when Jerry enters George's room. He's like, "How you doing, bud?" Do we do that a lot?
Yeah. How you doing, buddy? You need anything? And then I think we will also say, "You want me to pick you up a Superman comic?"
Yeah, that's just thrown in there for no reason.
It works.
Now, Jerry, in his scheme of messing with George, he starts asking about certain things that he can have in case George doesn't survive, one of them being a Blackhawks jacket.
Which, when you initially hear it, you're like, a Blackhawks jacket? Really?
Now, for someone that knows nothing about sports, help me out here.
So the Chicago Blackhawks are an NHL hockey team located in Chicago. This is a New York, based show. You would think it would be a New York Rangers jacket, or depending on where your loyalties lie, a New Jersey Devil. You have New Jersey Devils fans that live in New York, I would imagine too. Should we take this moment to say that Rangers eat nuts, or no?
It's okay.
No, okay.
If anybody listening to the show also is listening to Puck Nuts, I mean, my God, that would be incredible.
What a reference that would be. So anyway, the reason that's in there is because that's a Larry David reference. He wore a Blackhawks jacket during the first couple seasons of Seinfeld. So they put that in there.
I am going to make it my life's mission to find a picture of Larry David wearing a Blackhawks jacket. Because I've seen him wearing a Seinfeld jacket on set before.
Yeah, and he's also wore it on Curb.
Mm-hmm. But so what you were saying, though, about Blackhawks being in Chicago, yeah, it is kind of weird that a New York fan, and I assume that George, born, raised, has probably lived in New York his whole life, would be a fan of the Blackhawks. Maybe it's like an ex-girlfriend's or something like that. But he tells Jerry that the sleeves are too short, it would never fit him, and Jerry's like, "No, tried it on, fits great."
Yeah.
Love that, so good. And then, George is like, "Okay." Jerry also adds it's okay for him to call Susan Davis, and George just flips out here. Come on, you and Susan Davis, and Jerry argues that it's not like they're going to be bumping into each other. And it's just, even though it's funny, it is really cruel because George does think he had a heart attack and he might not live.
He doesn't know yet, right? So this is all news that's killing him. I also thought, again, they're using the name Susan. That name Susan keeps coming up.
Oh, good point. I didn't think of that.
I have a feeling Larry David has a infatuation with the name Susan.
I don't know if we have gotten this every episode, but here's another character that we never see, never meet, and she has a full name, Susan Davis. Just love that.
George's, that could be George's Sharon Besser. Mm-hmm. Or Sherry Becker.
Which one was it?
Either, or both.
Any Clue fans out there should get that reference.
Go ahead, call her. Get married, have babies, have a great life. Well, I care. I'm finished. It's all over for me. In fact, let's end it right now. Jerry, kill me. Kill me now. I'm begging you. Let's just get it over with. Be a pal. Just take the pillow and put it over my face.
Well, what, kind of like this?
What are you doing?
Jerry!
Elaine, what are you doing here?
Jerk off.
So, first of all, that's a great little bit, but did you at all...
Sounds so patronizing. That's a great little bit.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
First of all, did you think it was odd that the word jerk off made it into the show?
Yeah, that always surprises me.
That's like a taboo word, right? The combination of those two together, I'm surprised that made it onto a network television show.
Yeah, I mean, especially for a show that prides itself in never saying the word masturbation in the contest.
Yeah.
2 years earlier to get away with calling someone a jerk off.
Well, if he had said jerk, that would have been fine, I thought. Yeah. But jerk off, I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It struck me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It really stands out, and especially George's delivery. He's upset for
just got smothered. Yeah, and I love how Jerry, Elaine, what are you doing here? And he puts the pillow back behind George's head and fixes it, and then he pats George's hair to make sure it's back in place. It's such a wonderfully put together joke. It's so good.
Yeah, and for Jerry, who's not an accomplished actor by any stretch, he really has some funny moments early on.
Mm-hmm. He did very well in this scene.
So Jerry tells Elaine, without George hearing, of course, that George is okay, and he didn't have a heart attack, and they both share this like evil smile. Like Elaine just can't wait to mess with them too. It's wonderful.
It's like a synergy. They have a similar humor, and that I get to screw with George now.
Yeah. So what does she say? Hey George, how you feeling? Is anyone getting your apartment?
There she goes again after George's apartment. She's obsessed.
Didn't think of that. That is a running theme. That is her arc this season.
She can't stand. Well, we haven't even met Tina yet, but we've heard of her.
Maybe that's why she gets with Jerry in the deal. Maybe she's looking just for a place to stay.
Yeah, she's eyeballing that apartment so she can wear those big white sneakers and a billowy shirt.
There's a great moment here too. We won't go into great depth, but if we haven't already,
go ahead.
There's a great moment here where Jerry and Elaine just start sitting down and talking to each other, and George is just rambling on about how he's going to change his life, the whole Zen thing, meditate, yoga, eat right, watch his anger.
Hey, is anyone listening?
There's this running theme this episode of George just being a total like contradicting person, having a heart attack, but I'm worried about the check, trying to change my life upside down, but I'm obviously have huge anger issues that aren't going away.
He's got a short fuse.
I think this is a pretty familiar feeling. Probably not with you, Vinny. You live a very healthy, productive lifestyle. I definitely have talked to myself like this many times. Like, I should start eating right, start exercising, really taking care of myself.
One day we'll get that. We'll get into a routine.
Yeah,
we'll live from across each other, and go for walks and stuff.
Now there was
all right.
Now, we might have mentioned this at the top of the show, maybe not, but Elaine had a lot more material this episode that was just cut out of the episode completely because of the runtime. And one of her stories that was actually filmed, but it didn't make the final cut, was that she was reading a Reader's Digest in the waiting room. It was a particular article called Marilyn the Funky Gorilla Girl, who worked at the county fair. And she was fascinated by this, and comes into the room while she's visiting George and talks to Jerry about it. And there's actually some kind of funny moments because they talk about how much this person smelled, and they talk about BO and what BO, what kind of BO was it? Which,
ooh, really?
Yeah, definitely felt like those germs for the smelly car episode.
Awesome.
So how about we actually play a little bit of audio here from this cut scene?
Anyway, she wound up losing everything. Everything. Her family, her friends, her job.
Because of the BO.
Evidently.
Did they say what type of BO it was? Was it like a garlicky thing or a locker room?
Well, the article described it as somewhat akin to the first whiff of a circus.
Oh. I think I dated her.
There's a kind of like a follow-up to this scene later on in the episode, but we'll bring that up later. So the doctor from earlier enters. Vinny, do you have his name on you by chance?
Yeah, his name is John Posey.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's name in the script is actually Stuart Fine, Fein.
Yeah, because he is never mentioned by name in the show, right?
No. And I in my notes, I originally had him as Dr. Tongue. But IMDb, he's John Posey, and he's Dr. Fine.
Right. Now, there's that... I love these moments between Elaine and a guy she's attracted to. I feel like this might be the first one, and we'll see it all the way until the end, but male character and Elaine will lock eyes, and there's sort of like some awkward silence, and I feel like one's always in the other's way.
Yeah.
They're just kind of, I don't know. You can tell she likes someone, and he likes her.
She's intrigued immediately, and it's palpable how her disposition just changed like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I found something that I thought was really kind of cool. It's unrelated to Seinfeld, but it's still a nice bit of trivia. John Posey, I looked on IMDb. He's actually credited as playing Danny Tanner in an unaired Full House pilot.
Oh my God, really?
Isn't that crazy? He could have been Danny Tanner.
That's Bob Saget.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
What'd you think of after the doctor explains the situation to George, he's about to, give him the news, and George says, "Oh God, mommy."
Yeah. He's so I like when George it doesn't happen all the time, but whenever George, turns into a little kid, just in a moment, just how scared he is.
So George didn't have a heart attack, and when he hears this news, the doctor's using the stethoscope on him. George screams, and the doctor has to rip the stethoscope out of his ears because it's so loud.
So George thinks there's nothing wrong with him, but the doctor, disagrees, and George starts freaking out, and he lists out, is it meningitis, scoliosis, lupus?
Is lupus?
So are you familiar with any of these diseases?
I mean, we had to touch on them in school, so a little bit. Well, meninges is part of the brain tissue, and then itis is inflammation, so it's inflammation of the brain matter and then the spinal cord as well.
So what does that do if you have meningitis? Is it fatal? Do you need
It's
to
bad, yeah. Meningitis is bad, but it's an infection.
And scoliosis I'm familiar with. That's when you have
Curvature of the spine.
Yep. And then lupus is the one that I definitely know about because this comes up again in The Suicide.
Yes. George is obsessed with lupus. He fixates on lupus.
Yeah, he always thinks he has lupus for some reason. I don't know why that is.
And also remember in Comedian, remember that comedian Orny Adams. Remember he had a bit where he wanted to say lupus, but they wouldn't let him, so he had to change it to psoriasis, I think. Something like that.
Huh. I forgot that part.
And he got really upset because he had to change the bit around because they wouldn't let him say lupus. He had to switch it to psoriasis.
We should tell people about the Comedian documentary. It follows Jerry Seinfeld after
I forget what year it was, but Jerry decided to retire all his A material, right? Anyway, after he retires all those jokes, he decides to do this documentary Comedian, which is a wonderful look at it's like Seinfeld, but documentary style, where you look at how a comedian comes up with their material, tries it out on stage, but Jerry has this other up-and-coming comedian who he takes on the road with him named Orny Adams, I believe. But anyway, he has this bit that he wanted to use the word lupus in, and for whatever reason, the club wouldn't let him use lupus or something like that. It's been a while.
But everyone should check out that documentary. The Orny character is, that comedian, I don't know, it's not the most compelling story. I hate saying this, but he can actually be pretty irritating.
Agreed.
But the stuff with Jerry is incredible because you really see Jerry, on stage sweating it, kind of not being exposed, but struggling. And that's incredible. You're like, oh my God, you're multi-millionaire, huge comedian, and you still have bad nights.
So the doctor inquires about George's tonsils. George said he had them out when he was a kid. And the doctor says, well, they've grown back. Your adenoids are swollen too. And then Elaine starts flirting with the doctor more, whose tonsils grow back. This actually happened to Larry Charles, though. His tonsils did grow back.
Which I don't know if that's possible. I guess, they didn't cut it all out, and it just takes on a life of its own. These are some of the best moments, too, where Jerry will just kind of, throw in a joke here, letting, two people go at it. I think this happened a lot in the Busboy episode, where Jerry would just sort of his role in the scene is just to kind of throw in little jokes here and there, which we even get at the end with the Tor character when he's listing off all the ingredients of the tea.
Yeah.
But Jerry's like, oh yeah, tonsils grow back if you've been exposed to gamma rays. And this is, I think, one of the funniest bits in the scene where Elaine and the doc, it's not funny at all, but in their, flirting, she's like, oh, everyone in my family, had tonsils. They couldn't socialize with anybody who didn't have them. And the doctor, it's the exact opposite. And Jerry says, oh, it's like the Capulets and the Montagues. And the reason why I like that joke on its own, but I thought it was really interesting because on the DVD commentary for this episode with Larry Charles, he talks about that joke. And he says that as writers of the show, he, Larry, and Jerry were under the assumption that the audience would be smart enough to understand who the Capulets and the Montagues are. They're the warring families in Romeo and Juliet. And the writers always assumed that they were dealing with an intelligent audience. And the hallmark of the show really was to respect the intelligence of the audience, which he thinks really paid off in the long run. And the reason I find this interesting is because I feel like we brought this up, if not just last episode, in episodes prior, where the reason I feel like this show has done so well is not only because it's hilarious, but it respects its audience.
It doesn't pander. You're right.
It doesn't at all. And when it does pander, it's really obvious, and it's fortunately only happened, I think, a handful of times on this show.
Can you think of an instance? Because I can't. off the top of your head? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, yeah. I mean, to me at least, like and this wasn't like the writer's idea. I think this was network decisions. I think getting Jerry and Elaine together.
Yeah, good call.
I think that's pandering. My opinion has changed on this, but I think the later seasons of the show, while I love them and they're fantastic, and really it's probably like the most popular Seinfeld episodes out there, I feel like later episodes, I don't want to say they pander to their audience, but Seinfeld in its later years, especially after Larry David left, I think kind of became like just one of the other sitcoms out there. Still miles ahead of the rest, but it kind of lost, I think, what made the show special in these early seasons and like during its golden years, which are season 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when like, things get really wacky on the show.
Of course.
And that's a good thing. I'm glad that the show got to have a moment like that where, the budget was higher. They could do really wacky things, do things that they could never get away with in the early seasons.
And they had all these new guest stars that they could go different directions with.
Yeah.
Like Peterman, Putty, Mickey, all these people.
Yeah, who I love, but I guess I'm talking about like, Phil Risotto's head getting stuck in like a pothole. Like, come on. Like, that's insane, but it's great.
Can I tig you for a second? It's Phil Rizzuto, not Phil Risotto.
Oh, my bad. Talk about intelligence of your audience. Severely lacking in this department. And I think the reason we brought this up recently is kind of like that show Mulaney that we were talking about last week, how a lot of new sitcoms, not to, not give them a chance or anything, but I think it's really hard for a show to start off strong and be its own thing without pandering right out the gate because there's so much network influence.
Yeah. And especially because he's new and he doesn't have a lot of pull. The network is definitely going to have their say and get it.
Right. One thing, we're just going over this thing like crazy, but I do love that moment while Elaine and the doctor are freezing. George just tugs on the doctor's jacket, and he's like, "Excuse me." Great delivery from Jason.
I have another thing as well.
Go ahead.
If we can... Is this horse dead yet? If we recall to the stakeout when Jerry and Elaine were discussing how how awkward it is to see each other flirt in front of, other men and women. It looks like now Jerry's just cracking jokes, just poking fun at Elaine, shifting into flirt mode versus how it was only a handful of episodes ago. Now he seems completely okay with it, as does she, and she's in full flirt right now. So I thought it was you see it, you've seen a progression. Whenever Larry David describes how Julia Louis-Dreyfus can take a line on paper and then spin it and take it on this roller coaster and deliver it in such a unique way, this is the line that does it. So if you just look at the sentence, I just have to ask the doctor one more question and then listen to this.
I just have to ask that doctor one more question.
Only Julia Louis-Dreyfus could deliver that. And that's what makes Elaine Elaine. And that's why she is the best.
The best. And what's this line here from Jerry? This is something I feel like you brought up on past episodes.
Women go after doctors like men go after supermodels. They want someone with knowledge of the body. We just want the body.
And then Kramer enters with a tray of food. It looks like he has a big salad there, I noticed. It's a pretty big bowl.
And an old-fashioned milk carton.
Oh, yeah. It's just kind of cool. We're seeing Kramer out and about at the apartment. I feel like he is no longer that, weird recluse anymore.
Yeah.
Or at least not so much anymore. He thinks it feels like Sizzler opened a restaurant because the hospital cafeteria is so good. Now, this is a joke, right? Because isn't hospital food generally pretty awful?
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, who knows? Maybe Kramer just likes that there's food there.
Yeah. He's amazed at the variety. And he's being very considerate. He's asking, how do you have a heart attack? He's a young man. And I like how he gets suspicious. And he's like...
What were you doing?
Now, I don't know if you got this, but when he's like, are they going to do a zipper job? They love doing zipper jobs.
I have no idea what that is.
Is that surgery? Like cut you open and then they just stitch you back like a zipper?
That makes sense.
Right? Okay.
But I'm not certain.
When I think of a zipper job though, I thought that was like something like sexual at first.
You would.
There's a really bad thing about the heart. It's a sex thing. So you got to be careful about sex now. You get that heart pumping. Suddenly, boom. Next thing you know, you got a hose coming out of your chest attached to a piece of luggage.
Kramer George didn't have a heart attack.
No, that's good.
I have to have my tonsils taken out.
Oh, man. No. George, we gotta get you out of here. Get out right now. They'll kill you in here.
It's routine surgery.
Oh, yeah? My friend, Bob Sacamano. He came in here for a hernia operation. Oh, yeah, routine surgery. Now he's sitting around in a chair by a window going, my name is Bob.
Hey, Bob Sacamano.
The first mention. It's funny. It kind of took me off guard because when I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah, good old Bob Sacamano. But I feel like we had heard his name before in the show, and we haven't.
I think because we and probably everyone out there has seen the show so many times that we're falling victim to, we know everything about Bob Sacamano already. Mm-hmm. So it's just, you know what I mean? You've already painted a picture. So we know all these things that he does with Kramer. But right now, if we're a new viewer, this is the first time we've ever heard this friend. So right now we just know he has a hernia and his name is Bob.
This was a running joke because I had hernia surgery last summer, and I definitely had this like playing in the back of my head.
Oh, nice.
I thought this was interesting, though, from the DVD commentary with Larry Charles, that Bob Sacamano was actually one of his best friends from childhood.
So that's a Larry Charles name pull?
Yeah, Bob Sacamano. Wow. I never knew that. Soon after, though, this episode aired, the two of them had a falling out and never spoke again. So
that's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if it was as a result of this episode or just
they still use the name this whole time. Wow, that's incredible. I did not know that. Maybe Bob Sacamano and Kenny Kramer went into business together.
That'd be incredible if like all of the bizarro like real life Seinfeld characters had their own show.
So another thing that was originally in the script but then cut out, Kramer mentioned that he had a cousin Ira who got a pacemaker after playing basketball. And every time he walked past a magnet, he went into convulsions. And the only reason I bring that up is because they actually were going to shed some light into a little bit of Kramer's background. Mm-hmm. So he had a cousin named Ira.
There you go.
So there you go, Monkey Boy.
Now this is interesting though too, I think, because Kramer has and is about to introduce us more to the world of alternative medicine, this kind of behind the scenes world, and I feel like this is just very Kramer that we'll see a lot more later. Kramer never goes with the flow or the mainstream culture. He's always
against the grain.
Yeah, he's always against the grain, or he's got some sort of alternate path to getting something either cheaper or better or what have you. And this all came from Larry Charles's interest in really the truth behind the lies society tells us. And I think I'm not that familiar with all of Larry Charles's work, but I do know that he made Bill Maher's Religulous, which looks into religion around the world and kind of like the truth and honesty behind it. And I like this. George is actually caught. He's like, oh, what should I do? And Jerry interrupts the conversation and says not to listen to Kramer, it just seems weird that we've already had evidence of George thinking Kramer is kind of an odd character.
Yeah.
And yet he's actually considering this.
Well, what's more important to George, money or his health?
That's a good point. But, I don't know if it's just all about money at this point. For right now, it's really just fear. Maybe that's what's playing into this. Why George is thinking of going a different route.
Well, first he's like, holistic. Yeah, that sounds like the answer. And then he asks, how much would a surgery cost and a hospital stay?
Right. So Kramer tells them about Tor Ekman, this herbalist, a healer. He's not just going to fix George's tonsils and the adenoids. How did Kramer know about those, by the way?
Yeah, it was a little bit too convenient how perfectly phrased it was.
Well, he knew about the tonsils, but...
Maybe he read the chart outside the hospital you're not supposed to look at.
Maybe. But yeah, he's pitching George on how Tor will change, the way he functions, body and mind, and I love this bit here with Jerry.
Ekman, I thought he was doing time.
No, he's out. He got out. See, the medical establishment. See, they tried to frame him. It's all politics. But he's a rebel.
A rebel?
Mm-hmm.
No, Johnny Yuma was a rebel. Ekman is a nut. George, you want to take care of your tonsils? You do it in a hospital with a doctor.
He's holistic. George, he's holistic.
Holistic?
No.
That sounds right.
George, you need a medical doctor.
Let me ask you something. How much do you think it would cost to have tonsils and adenoids removed in a hospital?
Well, an overnight stay in a hospital, minor surgery, I don't know, $4,000.
Uh-huh. How much does the healer charge?
First visit, $38.
Oh, yeah, holistic. That's what I need. That's the answer.
Now, it seems like Tor is a bit of an extreme, even though alternative medicine and herbalists, healers all have their place in the world, and they can actually, I think, do a lot of good. He is sort of, I know, kind of pigeonholed as a rebel, as Kramer puts it, right?
A rebel? No. Johnny Yuma was a rebel. Ekman is a nut.
And this made me think with the Johnny Yuma was a rebel, with the song Kramer sings.
I did not even pick up on that.
In season 4, when Kramer's on the phone with Dr. Reston, at least he's waiting for him to pick up, he starts singing Johnny Yuma Was a Rebel, the theme song by Johnny Cash.
The Rebel is a TV show Western about Johnny Yuma, an ex-Confederate soldier who traveled the post-Civil War West looking for inner peace. That's what that is. I did not know. I never heard of it.
I knew of it, but I never watched it. Yeah, I was never big into Westerns. Now we're getting into the point for why George is listening to Kramer, right? This is when we're getting into money. And George asks how much it would have to take his tonsils out. Jerry thinks about $4,000 if you're in the hospital. Kramer says the first visit is
$38.
$38. So we get an act break, and we are in Tor's apartment. And right out the gate, Vinny, we have to address something that we mentioned last episode, the statue. What did you say?
I said that it looks like the skeleton, the structure of Ray and Rava's apartment looks identical to Tor's apartment.
When I watched this episode, I realized as soon as we got to Tor's apartment, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the same set.
So Jerry, George, and Kramer are in Tor's place, and George starts off saying, "So you like how I convinced you to come down here?" And Jerry's like, "Oh, I'm only here for material. Don't flatter yourself." Originally, Jerry only went because George suggested that Tor Ekman would be able to translate the scribbling from Jerry's note.
Oh, that's interesting. I kind of like the fact that Jerry's on he's on the clock. He's searching for material here because you don't really get into that idea of Jerry acknowledging of, oh hey, I need to. Well, you have him talk about, I need new material. I need to come up with material. That's as good as anything you do. But it's kind of cool that you see him in the moment trying to figure out what could possibly be used for stand up.
All I know is I've been going to doctors all my life. What's it gotten me? I'm 33 years old. I haven't outgrown the problems of puberty. I'm already facing the problems of old age. I completely skipped healthy adulthood. I went from having orgasms immediately to taking forever. You could do your taxes in the time it takes me to have an orgasm. I never had a normal, medium orgasm.
I never had a really good pickle.
So you notice how George said he was 33?
Yeah.
And how old did Jerry say he was last week in The Stranded, or a couple weeks ago in The Stranded?
Well, he said it was 36.
Right.
This math doesn't add up, mister.
So when they were in 5th grade in gym class, something's off.
Yeah, something's off here. So
something's missing, all right.
So either someone was held back or someone moved forward in school. Or is it possible that they were in this gym class and for whatever reason, different grades were mixed together?
We used to have that. We used to have 3 grades do gym at the same time.
So that could be a possibility. So I guess what we're talking about here is Jerry and George say later in the show, I think in the outing, right? Or maybe it was the library, how they met in 5th grade gym class. But I guess that wouldn't really add up if you have 3 years between two people. So I don't know, Vinny. I like to retcon any errors in the writing. How do you think this could work? How could we justify George being 33, Jerry being 36, yet they were in 5th grade gym class together?
Well, we said during The Stranded that Jerry could have been joking about his age. That was one thing.
I don't remember that. We were saying I can't remember 2 weeks ago. God.
He was. I thought you said that. I could be wrong, but I thought we said that Jerry just could have been joking in the heat of the moment. How old are you? 36.
Right.
But why would you lie about your age by 3 years?
Yeah, and it is oddly specific. It's not I'm 50 and you're really 48 or something. It's
we can't just assume that it was the writers just not being conscientious of continuity.
I've got a weird hang up where if I like a property enough, growing up, Oh yeah, growing up reading like all these Star Wars novels that contradict one another in the movies, you have to come up with these really weird ways to make sense and retcon, contradicting storylines. But for this one, I'm just going to assume it was a group gym class where you had grades. That's 3 years difference. So you could have 3 years difference and maybe only have 2 grades apart. I have a friend who's a grade above me, but he's 2 years older than me.
Mm-hmm. What school do you guys go to?
Edward R. Murrow. And
meow.
So we could argue that these two guys were in like a group gym class. George, say, was in 3rd grade maybe. Jerry was in 5th grade.
Perhaps.
Even though there's a 3-year difference, it could still be just 2 grades. So anyways, Tor enters the room. He hugs Kramer while Jerry and George just kind of watch.
For an extended period of time. It's a drawn-out hug.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of trivia here. His original name wasn't going to be Tor. It was going to be Ernst.
What do you think? What do you think of that?
Ernst Ekman. That's a tongue twister for me, at least.
I like Tor. I think Tor works.
Tor is fantastic. I think this is a great name. But even greater than the name, I think we should talk about this now, is the actor playing Tor Ekman.
Yes.
That's Mr. Stephen Tobolowsky, who is
Love him.
Such a great character actor. I'm sure a lot of people know this guy just from his voice or his appearance.
He's in everything.
Oh my God, this guy has done so much work. He's been in the business since, at least the early 80s. We're talking like Groundhog's Day, Mississippi Burning, Memento, been in a bunch of great stuff. And if anyone out there, likes to listen to podcasts other than Seincast, we recommend the Tobolowsky Files with Dave Chen, who hosts the Slash Film podcast, and Stephen Tobolowsky. It's pretty much a 45-minute podcast of Stephen Tobolowsky just telling stories from his life. And I don't know, they maybe have 60 episodes or so out there, which is just incredible. And yeah, can't say enough good stuff about this guy. I actually met him a couple of years ago, and he was very sweet guy, very nice. It would be great one day if we could maybe get him on the podcast once we find our sea legs here.
Also, Stephen Tobolowsky was in a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, The Satyr.
Yeah.
He played the character of Len Dunkel. I don't think it was ever named, but he was the Republican cousin of Jeff, Larry's manager.
Right. He has that great bit where he's like, every so many years, there's a great president. He's like, Abraham Lincoln, FDR, George W. Bush.
And Larry's just like, okay.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Really great. But anyways, yeah, check out Tobolowsky Files, another great podcast. And that Curb episode, The Satyr. So the Tor character starts off this first session of George's. So there's going to be many more to come, apparently, by blessing the area with that little brass dish. And
that's because Jerry put his foot on the table.
Oh, you're right. Right out the gate. He's kind of like, for being peaceful and everything like that, right out the gate. Do you mind taking your foot off that, please?
I think Jerry's altering the, aura of the room by putting his foot on it,
Mm-hmm. Jerry sort of seems like the odd man out here because Kramer's friends with him. George wants to be there, and Jerry's just this observer.
And he's judging immediately.
Right. Tor has this amazing thing with his hand, like when he's blessing the area with that brass dish, where I don't know how Stephen Tobolowsky does it with his hand. It's just so fluid. It's just a little thing I noticed.
He's good.
Yeah.
What month were you born?
April.
You should have been born in August. Your parents would have been well advised to wait.
Really?
Do you use hot water in the shower?
Yes.
Stop using it.
Okay. I'm off hot water.
And Tor's just kind of all over the place, like this podcast.
It really paints the character with these non sequiturs.
Yeah. Stop using hot water in the shower. Kramer says he's off hot water completely, which is sort of contradictory, right? Because eventually he gets the hot tub and...
Yeah. Those are Accusage jets.
Yeah, he's in a lot of hot water.
And throughout the scene, you'll see Tor doing all these different hand gestures and touching George's face. Those are all done by Stephen Tobolowsky. They weren't scripted.
Do you like it, though? Do you like the finger motions?
Oh, yeah. And they're so unique, and he's... a lot of good stuff going on. And I love when Tor says, Kramer tells me you're interested in alternative to surgery. And he goes, yeah. And then... blows right in his face.
I never understood if he was blowing or if he was like spitting, because it's almost like a raspberry.
Yeah. Now, I would love to know if that was scripted or like did Stephen Tobolowsky just do that? That would be a great, thing to find out.
We haven't featured him on the site yet. I think we will once the season wraps, but there are some incredible bloopers for the scene here.
Yes.
Where I think
he's cracking everybody up.
Oh yeah, everyone is just except for Michael. Everyone is just cracking up. They can't help it.
See, unfortunately, the medical establishment is a business like any other business. And business needs customers. And they want to sell you their most expensive item, which is unnecessary surgery.
Can I use hot water on my face?
No. You know, I am not a businessman. I am a holistic healer. It's a calling. It's a gift. You see, it's in the best interest of the medical profession that you remain sick. See, that ensures good business. You're not a patient, you're a customer.
And you're not a doctor, but you play one in real life.
What about shaving?
You're eating too much dairy.
And, it's kind of funny here because Tor is so silly and goofy. Like he just brings such a wacky personality here. It's hard to take what he's saying seriously, but I think Larry Charles wrote this because it is true.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a nice balance here for I think those people that totally disagree with Tor, they can just laugh at it and like, look at this crackpot. But the people who can look past the character and look at it as a piece of writing. I think there's a lot to be said that the medical establishment is like a business, whether you're talking insurance or pharmaceuticals or like the business of birth in the hospital, bringing women in, getting them out of there within 24 hours.
Right.
It's like a cycle for these hospitals and stuff. So it is funny, like how Larry Charles, I think he does a masterful job of really blending in some truth to this scene, but balancing it out with kind of poking fun at the character.
Yeah.
At the same time.
With each, piece of advice that Tor offers, George is fixated on the water. Can it be lukewarm? Can I use it on my face? What about shaving? Like that's his sole, concern right now.
Right. And also Jerry is throwing in a lot of his sarcastic comments. You're not a doctor, but you play one in real life.
And then out of nowhere, he singles Jerry out. You're eating too much dairy. And Jerry just gives him this look like, what? Oh,
where did that come from?
Yeah.
And then this was an encounter Larry Charles had, right? Did you hear about this?
Yes.
So one of the actresses from the show Taxi, her character name on Taxi was actually Elaine. I don't know if you're ever a fan of it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but Mary Lou Henner, who played Elaine on Taxi, was filming a sitcom called Evening Shade, which I had never heard of before. It sounds incredible. Burt Reynolds, O.C. Davis, Hal Holbrook, and Charles Durning, like all these old school actors on a sitcom with her. But they were filming that show near Seinfeld's writing offices, and she was walking by Larry Charles and just out of the blue said that to him. You're eating too much dairy. And apparently Larry Charles and a lot of the other writers just cut dairy out of their diet right then and there.
Oh, they listened to her?
Yeah, like they were affected by it.
Wow. See, I feel like I said that to Larry David, although he probably was having the appropriate amount of dairy or having soy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if somebody said that to him, he'd say, go F off.
I don't know. I'm thinking of cutting out dairy. Dairy can't be that good for you. I mean, talk about businesses. Wasn't the main reason dairy on the food pyramid because of the dairy industry in the 50s?
I remember hearing something about that.
Paid a lot of money to get on there. You don't need as much dairy as you think.
I'm off dairy.
Are you?
I don't drink milk, no.
Don't drink milk. You have ice cream, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, I will eat ice cream.
What about your cheese and your yogurts?
I don't do cheese.
No cheese? Oh,
no cheese.
Of all of Tor's hand motions, I think this is my favorite one. He heats them up, rubs them together really quickly, and then just places them on George's face.
Yeah.
And while, I was ranting a little bit about, what Tor got right, I think, about the medical industry here, he's talking about the throat being the gateway to the lung, and Jerry bounces it out with saying, oh, there's some hot air blowing in here.
Now, those are all voiceovers, though, just so, people know. Oh, yeah. He's not saying those out loud.
Yeah, and we didn't even really mention that. That was something that they experimented with, during the stakeout. But yeah, this idea of voiceover, which I wish they did more of on this show. I really like it. I feel like Elaine is the character that gets it the most.
She does it on the subway, and then she does it when she's eating the aged pie from the Duchess of, or cake from the Duchess of York or whatever.
and also with Keith Hernandez when she's in the car with him.
Yes.
Who does this guy think he is? So yeah, this is kind of a hard scene to cover without being all over the place, but eventually George continues to ask, "Oh, can the water be lukewarm?" And Jerry's like, "You really think I'm eating too much dairy?" And eventually the scene ends and we go to, what's his name, Dr. Fine?
Yep.
Seems a very appropriate name if Elaine's attracted to him.
Fine-celled.
Nothing much is happening here other than the doctor's holding on to Elaine's tongue. And
Well, you just see the doctor in the shot, and he's talking about the tongue, and you don't see Elaine. Then they pan over, and you see him grasping Elaine's tongue, and she's just nodding at what he's going. He's going on and on about the tongue. So it's a good reveal.
Yeah, it's a great reveal, and it's not like painful, but I can't think of anything more uncomfortable than someone holding onto your tongue for a long period of time. Then we're back to Tor's apartment. Now George is sitting in the chair with that little pyramid frame over his head. And have you noticed how Jerry's just sprawled out on the pillows?
Yeah, he's real comfortable.
This is
Favorite
like,
too.
I don't know if it's cocky Jerry, but I think it's Jerry when he's just like, oh, screw it, I'm going to have some fun.
Yeah, I agree. I get that feeling too. Remember you mentioned a couple weeks ago there was like an exterior, one of the setup shots, and it showed that marquee of Tor's apartment.
This was the busboy, actually.
Okay.
When we saw the exterior of the what's his name? Antonio. His apartment. It's the same building as Tor's.
So maybe when Kramer went over there, that's when he met Tor.
Well, you mean when he went over to the busboys?
Yeah.
That's a fair point, but that was just only a few weeks ago. Don't you get the vibe that Kramer's known this guy for a long time?
Yes.
So
you can find out a lot about a person in 4 weeks.
But then Jerry knows about him being in jail.
I'm trying something.
Your tea is ready now. This will solve your so-called tonsil problem. It's a special concoction. It contains cramp bark.
I love cramp bark. Cleaver. I once had cleaver as a kid. I was able to lift a car.
And some couch grass.
Couch grass and cramp bark? I think that's what killed Curly.
So these three things, what were they again?
Cramp bark, cleaver, and couch grass.
Now, I had never heard of any of these before. Had you?
I'm not familiar with them either. I know, we had to learn a little bit about herbals and over-the-counter stuff like that, but this is beyond my scope here.
Right. Now, cramp bark, I guess, just a little bit of education here. Something I'm sure you could all find on Wikipedia, but cramp bark is the bar of the Gilder rose, and it's used in herbal medicine to treat spasms and convulsions, fits, lockjaw. Cleaver is short for Cleaver's herb, and it's a diuretic used to clean like urinary stones as well as like infections, urinary infections, and to relieve swollen glands. And then couchgrass is used to treat inflammation and increase the flow of urine through the body. So it seems
how's it going to help with his tonsils?
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot going on here with I get like the spasms and the inflammation, but what's up with all the like the urinary infections and stuff? What did Jerry say that he thought killed Curly?
Couch grass and cramp bark?
I don't get that reference, do you?
No.
I mean, other than, I guess, the actor died. He died of the complications of a stroke in 1952. I don't know if there was some sort of like conspiracy about his death or just there's this inner fascination on Seinfeld about the Three Stooges.
I would go with that one,
yeah.
The latter. So then Jerry says to Tor, you have a lot of intuitive abilities. You're in touch with a lot of cosmic things. And he's being very patronizing. And then he pulls out the little scribble and he says, "Can you make out what this says?" And Tor looks at it and he just starts cracking up. And he says, "Yes, yes." Cleveland 117, San Antonio 109.
So that's a sports reference, right?
Yes, it is. I would assume basketball because of the score so high. Cleveland Cavaliers versus the San Antonio Spurs.
Now, why was Tor laughing so much before he read those? He was like really excited.
Only Tor Ekman can answer that question because I have no idea.
And did you notice when Tor reads those and he hands the note back to Jerry, Jerry turns and rolls his eyes?
That's a patented Jerry move right there.
Yeah. And is it the first one? I mean, we're always trying to mark the first one like it means anything, but
whatever reason. I think he's done it before.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it.
Yeah, I can't remember if he's done this before, but if he has, it's been a while, that's for sure. Now, before we get out of the scene, George drinking the tea, you mentioned that there was a cut scene here, right? Or at least an alternate line for Tor.
Yes, an alternate scribble suggestion. And Tor said, faintly glowing pig stools.
Faintly glowing pig stools. That one might be my favorite, actually.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, I like that one. So George drinks the tea and, doesn't think it's too bad. And then we cut to an ambulance with George screaming in the back.
Damn an eggplant! Damn an eggplant!
How'd it take you, Chuckle Man? I had 5 Chuckles. I ate the green one and the yellow one and the red one is missing. I don't even like Chuckles.
Maybe he doesn't like them. That's possible.
My face! My face! Get me to the hospital!
I want that Chuckle back. You hear me?
I'll get you a Chuckle. You want me to get you a Chuckle?
Pull over. Pull over. Did you say pull over? You want a piece of me? Yeah.
What, you gonna fight?
No! I'm a mutant!
Let me drive. Come on, man. Pull over. I'm gonna mess you up, man.
Really, gentlemen, please.
Oh, my heart! My heart! Where are you going? Are you crazy?
Kick his ass.
Hey, you have keys? You can't leave! This is an ambulance! This is an emergency!
I forgot about how great this scene is. Originally, though, the driver and the attendant argued over a racehorse that one had recommended to the other, and the racehorse didn't win. The idea for this story, though, where these two EMTs kind of argued, came from a real news story that they put into the show.
Right, the idea of two people transporting a man to the hospital. They get in a fight, and did the man die?
That I don't know.
Okay, that would be incredible if the
Yeah.
passenger died while they were fighting outside. Now that thing you just mentioned about the racehorse and which one didn't win, so that was the original idea, but then Larry David had them change it to something small and trivial, Chuckles.
Which is
brilliant. You
Brilliant.
get it, right? He's
Yeah.
so... I think he just sees through... Like, I don't want to say Larry David's jokes are complicated. They're very dense and layered and well thought out, but I think sometimes, like, the simplest... answer is always the best one. And in this case,
it makes the argument that much more ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's more funny. It's more, I don't know, more
It's funnier.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's funny. Very, very funny.
In that New York Times article you mentioned, I just did a quick Google search. If anyone can find this New York Times article about an ambulance that pulled over and the two attendants getting in a fight, please let us know, because I would love to read that article.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be something if Peter Melman was the one who wrote the article when he worked for the New York Times?
Crazy. The two actors that play the driver and the attendant are so good.
Yeah, do you have their names?
Yes, I do. The driver is played by Jimmy Woodard, and the attendant is played by John Fleck. Now, I looked them up on IMDb just to see if they were in anything we'd recognize. Jimmy Woodard, I didn't really catch too many things that he was in. I think he was in like House Party 3, and then
Didn't see that one.
nor did I, but I recognized the film.
Yeah.
And then John Fleck, the attendant, played Gecko in Carnival, and then he was in Naked Gun 2.5. He was Explosion Thug number 2.
Explosion Thug number 2, because I know the Naked Gun movies pretty well.
And I feel his face looks very familiar. So I think if we saw the Naked Gun again, he would stand out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looks kind of sinister. Like he has sort of like a villainous kind of face.
But man, these guys are going on about Chuckles, and I didn't take you, Chuckle Man. And I had 5 Chuckles. I ate the green one and the yellow one. The red one's missing. I don't even like Chuckles.
Did you notice though that George is strapped down in this scene? Like, I don't think he's completely tied down, but I think there's a strap going across his chest.
Really?
Like, he was being like violent or something. Which I just thought was a little weird. Or the fact that George is purple, that idea came from Larry David to turn him purple, because they had, I guess, trouble from a writing standpoint. Like, how does this tea affect him? What is it going to do to him?
So now we go to Elaine and the Dr. Fine on their date. He's still holding her tongue, still going on about it. And she says, "Can you let go of my tongue now, please?" And
do you feel bad for her? Like, that seems painful to talk.
I do. It's painful, and it's just I can't believe. Well, A, how did he grab her tongue to begin with? Did he let her do that? She let him do that?
I guess so.
So anyway, he lets go. Then he says goodnight. Doctor goes in for a kiss, and Elaine gives the pullback. Oh, Elaine's response is wonderful. a kiss with the tongue, the glossa with the bumps and the papillae? I don't think so. And she gets right out of the car.
Yeah, it's great. Very simple, kind of like uneventful Elaine storyline this episode.
Yeah.
And we mentioned there's a bit of like Reader's Digest stuff cut from the first hospital scene, but the date portion, like there was another Elaine storyline this episode, and it revolved around her date with Dr. Fine, right?
Yeah.
And it got kind of weird. What happened exactly?
It got dark. So originally that scene that we just talked about wasn't filmed. It was only going to be described in this upcoming hospital scene. But Elaine said, last night I slept over at his place. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was strapped to the bed with a bed light shining in my face and a mask over my mouth and nose. Dr. Fine was still going on about the tongue, and his name is Stuart, actually, in the script. Stuart was naked except for a surgical mask, and he was muttering about incisions. Then Jerry, in the scene, wondered if it was a dream, but Elaine showed Jerry a strange mark on her arm.
Yeah.
Now that is bizarre. That is crazy. I cannot imagine that being in a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah. Now
I'm glad it was cut.
Now that scene I don't think was ever filmed. I think the network objected to it during like the table read, during the run through. It just came off a little too dark. I mean, you agree, right?
Yeah.
I mean, since talking about the bet, I always feel like the show could really tackle anything, or at least I want to see them tackle anything, but on paper, that does seem, thematically a little weird. It reminds me a little bit of Jerry, being under the gas and Watley and his assistant having sex, and then kind of a lot of people have disagreed with me on this, like whenever I bring it up online. But do you remember in season 9 with Jerry's the girlfriend that has all the old toys?
Oh yeah,
and they eat a lot of turkey and drink wine, and I think that whole storyline is a metaphor for date rape, essentially. They never say that, but I think it's obviously hinted at. That's the joke.
He doesn't. Yeah,
it's a metaphor. He's playing with her toys while she's under. Come on.
That's the invasion of
right. So like it's weird. Like this show, I think, can handle dark themes really well. Sometimes, like they can disguise it and not really make you think about it. But this one, it's like, oh my god.
But as Larry Charles, I think, says in interviews, Larry comes from a very dark place, it's actually Jason Alexander. Larry comes from a very dark place, Jerry from a very light place, and when they cross filter, it becomes this wonderful thing that is Seinfeld. But this is too dark. This Elaine this is too dark to, I think, succeed in the Seinfeld realm.
Right, to be really funny. I mean, I guess it could be funny in the sense. Yeah. On the surface, maybe funny, but once you think about it a little bit, you're like, wait, you were like drugged and tied to a bed? What do you think, though? Do you like the replacement with the tongue? I mean, it gets the job done, I guess.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like if you never knew about this alternate storyline, you never would have really questioned the tongue storyline.
No, not at all.
You've been like, okay, he's weird.
Yeah. I don't really care for the Reader's Digest story either.
Right.
Like, I can't imagine Elaine stealing a magazine.
Oh, we'll get into that in this next scene here, actually.
Okay.
We go back to the ambulance real quick, and they're all back on the road, but it's just the driver this time. The other attendant I guess he got left on the side of the road, right?
Yeah.
Got his ass beat.
And Kramer says, aren't you going to call him an ambulance?
Remember in the past, whenever I mentioned like a weird acting moment where there's just like not a lot of jokes, and busboy comes to mind, where Elaine's boyfriend Eddie and the busboy get in a fight like out in the hallway, but you never see it.
You bumped into me. Yeah.
Who do you think you're talking to? And in this scene, it gets kind of weird when the ambulance driver is still getting really upset about the fight, and Mike Kramer is like, "Hey, watch the road, man. Watch the road.
Yeah.
Look out." It's just like, oh, God.
The way he says, I told you I didn't take his Chuckle. I don't eat that gooey crap. And then, hey, man, you want some of what he got? I love those two lines, the way he does that.
Yeah, the driver is incredible.
Great.
But, yeah, there's something about this scene, like the drama, the seriousness of the scene just doesn't hit me. It's just confusing as to what happened. It's like, oh, they get in an accident?
All right, so we're back at Manhattan Memorial because there's less of a line, and we see George in a neck brace with ointment all over his face, and Jerry walks in. He's got a neck brace on as well, and he's limping. Jerry says, "How you doing?" And George can't talk. Jerry, this is again Jerry just looking at the minute details. Jerry notices George with a plastic neck brace, and Jerry's intrigued. He's like, "How'd you get the plastic one?" And George wiggles his eyebrows up and down. And then George actually sticks out his tongue, which was improvised by Jason Alexander. So then Jerry moves on. He goes, "How's life without tonsils?" And then you see George pantomiming an ice cream motion. Jerry actually has a line that I think has a little bit of, there's something telling to it. But he says, "How much is it going to cost you? 5,000 or 6,000?" And then Jerry says, "Well, live and learn. At least we lived." And as we've pointed out many times, what's the motto of the show?
No hugging, no learning.
Right. So they lived, but they didn't learn. And I don't know.
That is deep, my
Thank
friend.
you.
Yeah, that's actually really good. The idea that they lived, they didn't learn.
Right.
Wow. That this show really reflecting on itself.
Another great joke. Kramer went to Ekman. He feels all better already.
Of course. That's a thing that infuriates me about Kramer is he always comes out on top. You know, like he always finds a way to. He doesn't have to suffer like Jerry or George or Elaine does.
It happens so naturally to him. Mm-hmm. Now Elaine comes in, and she has a surprise for George. What does she have in the bag? What's in the bag?
Well, she's got some ice cream, and he turns into a little kid, starts kicking his legs, and
he's pouncing his feet in the bed. And Elaine says she doesn't want to stay too long because she's afraid she might run into Dr. Tongue.
Yeah. Now, I think this is a good point to reference the second part to one of Elaine's storylines that was cut, which was that Reader's Digest we mentioned in an earlier hospital scene. Mm-hmm. So she was reading this Reader's Digest article early on, and I guess she got really into it, like really engrossed, and she couldn't finish it in time. So she actually decides to steal the Reader's Digest. And if you look, after she gives the ice cream to George, she's actually holding it. It's sitting there in her arm. And there's a deleted scene, which isn't really anything special, where the nurse that Jerry spoke to earlier in the episode comes in and, demands that she give it back to her, even though it's like a 10-year-old magazine. And then there's like this really weird joke where, well, here, I'll just play the clip.
Do you want to give me back that Reader's Digest you took from downstairs?
I gotta find out what happened to the woman with the BO. How am I gonna find out what happens to this woman with the BO? Please let me find out what happened to the woman with the BO.
Oh, Marilyn, the Gorilla Girl. She went to a healer who cured her with a special tea, except her face turned purple and it never went away.
It's funny how it all kind of like ties to the ending, what's actually happening, but it seems a little like overwritten. Like, really? That's how you're going to end that storyline?
Again, that nurse was played by actress Sharon McKnight.
Anything that we should know her from?
No, I didn't get to mention her name earlier. But hey, she's got. Well, it's funny because she's got a speaking role, but it's salami bologna,
right? And
that's it. But she had more to do, hence why she's credited.
That would be incredible if that were your only, like, oh, it's on Seinfeld. It's like, what was your line? Salami bologna.
That's a good line. Is that how you're going to say it?
Also, just to backtrack a little bit, right here, before we get to the TV moment, when Elaine hands George the ice cream, there's this really interesting transition. You can tell that they had trouble, I think, losing this material with the nurse. Mm-hmm. And still connecting, giving George the ice cream to seeing Flaming Globes of Zygmunt on TV, if you're following what I'm saying. So I think they lifted out the portion with the nurse between the two, between the ice cream
I see.
and the TV.
Okay.
Because when they transition to the TV scene, on the edit, they literally just turn down Elaine's dialogue. You can hear it. Like, her voice literally gets quieter and quieter when she's talking to George. And Jerry has a extremely 80-yard line, like, "Hey, look at the TV.
I brought you something." Oh, please, come on.
Hey, turn up the TV.
It is just as you prophesied!
I did notice that.
So you can tell that transition was really put together in
post.
In post, for sure.
So then Jerry asks to turn up the TV. He sees the movie that he was watching earlier, which gave him that supposed great bit, and that's what we talked about was the influence for this episode that Larry Charles had kept seeing all these B movies rerunning on TV. And Jerry says, "That's it, Flaming Globes of Zygmunt. That's my note that I thought was so funny." That's not funny. And then you hear the hospital patient again yell, "Shut up!" And again, not part of the original script, but George throws the ice cream at him, and he yells, "Ow!"
Just chucks it over the curtain.
Yeah. And then there's a deleted scene or a blooper where Jason attempts to throw it and he doesn't make it.
Yeah, it just hits the curtain.
And then the actor still yells "ow" it's delayed, but then he still yells "ow," which makes it more funny.
And our last scene here is a little bit of stand-up.
I have a friend who's a hypochondriac, always thinks he's sick, never is. And you have another type of person, always thinks they're well, no matter how bad they really are. You know this type of person? Very annoying. Feel great. Like being on a respirator. Intravenous heart-lung machine. I never felt better in my life. Medical science is making advances every day to control health problems. In fact, it's probably only a matter of time before a heart attack, becomes like a headache. We'll just see people on TV going, I had a heart attack this big. But I gave myself one of these, clear. Boom. And it's gone.
Okay, so now we're getting a little bit of stand-up that actually ties into the episode, like the storyline, being a hypochondriac.
Medicine is advancing, so at one point they'll be able to manage a lot of things, through technology and stuff. So Jerry kind of had it, hit the nail on the head.
I like that the stand-up does tie into the episode, but looking back, it's kind of forgettable. I'm not really.
It doesn't. Agreed.
So in that theory, I really am not that big on stand-up tying into the show anymore. I think they would do better if stand-up is just totally detached. But there might be more of a obligation to have the stand-up tie into the show when it comes in at the end, because it's a wrap-up. It's your last scene. As opposed to the first stand-up, you can get away with just having a total random topic, because you have a nice commercial break between the two.
Right.
So before we move on to ratings, Vinny, what do you think? Should we talk about these different things that people thought Jerry's note said? And
yes.
We can read them all out. And
I'd like to, call out to everybody that listens. Let us know which one you thought was the best scribble. Rate that scribble.
And whether it was in the show or whether it was cut?
Yeah, I think all of them are fair game.
Okay.
So, fair game. I really enjoyed fair game. So, yeah, I'm going to read each one of them and then go ahead and, put it on Facebook or on Twitter and let us know which one you like best. So we got the first one was Furman Hertel-Vom. And we got Fax Me Some Halibut. Don't Mess with Johnny. Finally Showing Pit Crews. Salami Baloney. Framing Guilty Hebrews. Cleveland 117, San Antonio 109, and Faintly Glowing Pig Stools. So yeah, let us know which one you like and why.
Yes, well, should we pick our favorites? I think I mentioned I like the flaming. What is the pig stools one?
Faintly Glowing Pig Stools.
Yeah, I think I like that one the most. Do you have a favorite?
I kind of like Don't Mess with Johnny because I like the way Elaine says, "Did you mess with Johnny, Jerry?" So I'll go with Don't Mess with Johnny.
Yeah. So everyone, like Vinny said, send us an email, Facebook, tweet us, whatever you got to do. Let us know which one you like the most. But let's move on to ratings, Vinny.
Okay.
So, what do you think?
So I think I was telling you this earlier, Matt. Going into this episode, I'm not a huge fan of the heart attack to begin with. I much rather would watch The Stranded or The Statue. Like those really did it for me, and I got enthused watching them. This one, I was like, oh man, we got the heart attack this week, so I wasn't feeling it. But then I gave it a shot, and after rewatching it, I did enjoy it, just not to the level that I did in previous weeks. I don't know if it's because of the locales, maybe that we're in a hospital, or I don't know. Again, I look at the episode as a whole. I don't dissect it as well as you do, but I don't know.
Sometimes.
I don't know. Sometimes.
Is it the fact that you're not grounded as much, like in familiar Seinfeld settings? I mean,
that could be it.
Does that kind of like throw you off a little bit? Why you're not a big fan of this one?
I don't know. It's just there's something about it that it doesn't do it for me. I have a couple episodes that I look at and I look at them with a little bit of hesitation as to I could. Are there any other episodes on in syndication right now? Because I'd rather watch that one. Sorry
to interrupt, but like that's so funny because I feel the exact same way. But about I think the episodes you like The Busboy, Stranded. But everyone to each his own. But at least we're picking up on something that doesn't feel like Seinfeld to us, even though we disagree with one another.
Yeah, it might be the side characters. I really I enjoyed Antonio in The Busboy as well as Ed in this Stranded. I loved Michael Chiklis in The Statue. I loved Ray. But yeah, I didn't care for Dr. Fine for some reason, that nurse who had the one line. Although I got to say, I really do like the EMTs. Those guys were incredible. And it would have been cool, actually, if they could get worked back into the show. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling here because I'm coasting on fumes, and I do apologize, everybody. So I'm going to give this episode 7.5 outside cucumbers out of 10.
Very good. You know, for someone that didn't like this episode, I think 7.5 is pretty good.
I liked it, but I didn't like it. Like, I wasn't laughing out loud when I saw this, and like the past couple episodes, I've been watching it having a smile on my face. This one, I just watched it more as a student. I'm taking notes on it.
To be fair, you're really tired, right?
I am.
when you watched it.
It probably shows in how loopy I am right now. But I'm yeah.
It's all the sometimes like the mood you're in when you watch an episode that can sometimes affect it.
That's true.
We might have some retroactive scores in the coming months, but you know, Vinny, I not to butt heads with you, but I'm actually just completely feel the opposite that you do about this episode. I think this is one of the best episodes of season 2. I think it's Larry Charles' best episode from season 2. I love the character of Tor Ekman. I know it's a little hit or miss with these season 2 one-off characters, single shot characters as we put it, because they I don't know, they just don't have as much gravity as, like, you know, the Soup Nazi or Putty or whatnot. I really wish Tor Ekman could have come back into the show. I think he was one character like Alton Bennis for me that I really liked, and I really thought would have had kind of, they don't need to appear as much as Uncle Leo or David Putty, but they could be someone that just crops up every once in a while to tie into a wacky Kramer story. So that being said, I really liked the Tor Ekman character. I think he was really the standout from this show. Other than that, I agree. I love the ambulance drivers. I think they're great. The doctor, not really that good. And I think that might have a lot to do with maybe Elaine's storyline getting cut down.
Yeah. And then, when I found out he was a pervert, also I didn't like that as well. The deleted stuff, or the stuff that was cut out, yes.
Right. I think that might have made his character, while darker, a little more interesting if he were a pervert, because right now he's just like a kind of a clueless doctor. Like, there's really nothing to it. Love the fact that we get Kramer out of the apartment again, and I think Kramer is, once again, while his physical antics aren't really displayed in this show, other than when he's talking about Bob Sacamano, we get, I think, a lot of character development. We learn that Kramer's really big into, you know, alternative medicine, kind of like back doors to getting around the system, kind of that counterculture. And I think George has just some killer moments in this scene. Almost every bit of dialogue of George in the hospital, the first hospital scene, is gold baby. And I love the fact that the characters like Elaine and Jerry are torturing George a little bit. You know, we're getting a little bit more of those selfish sides to characters. They're not all best friends that are looking out for each other. Love that. So I'll stop with my rambling now and give this episode 8.5 Flaming Globes of Zygmunt out of 10.
Can I also add, I just had a thought. What I didn't like is that Jerry, Kramer, and Elaine had kind of minimal storylines. This was very George-centric. And the George that we did get wasn't the same George that we got in the phone message and other episodes where I thought George shined. I don't know. There's like something just didn't jive for me. But that's all I wanted to say. But anyway,
that's actually a really good point, though, man. Like, in those episodes, he's really on and he's really elevated and really getting to. I mean, in this episode, he's sitting down, he's laying down, he's not doing anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can totally see where you're coming from. It's sort of like a sickly, reserved, quieter George.
Yeah.
Until you get to the eggplant scene.
Right.
All right, that's going to do it for us at Seincast. Vinny, let everyone know how they can get in touch with us.
Sure. Email us at seincast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter @Seincast. And we've been actually getting a little bit better at posting pictures and all these other things.
You mean I've been getting better?
Matt has been Matt does everything.
I had some free time to post some stuff.
Oh, you're doing a great job, buddy. If you talk to Seincast online, it's most likely you're talking to Matt. So.
And if you're waiting to talk to Seincast online, Matt will be getting to you shortly. And if you haven't already, please leave us a rating and review on iTunes. The more feedback we get, the more likely other Seinfeld fans will find out about the show, and that's what everyone wants, right? So, what episode do we have for next week, Vinny?
Next week, we're discussing the 12th episode of the second season, The Revenge. And Matt, guess what?
What?
I got it all on video.
But for now, I'm Matt.
I'm Vinny.
Signing off. Seinecast is not endorsed by Castle Rock Entertainment, Sony Pictures, or NBC, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The official Seinfeld site can be found at sonypictures.com/TV/Seinfeld. Seinfeld, the Seinfeld logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Seinfeld characters are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Castle Rock Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders.
I'm gonna get you. I work hard for those.
All this over a Chuckle.
What's a chuckle?
It's a jelly candy. Comes in 5 flavors.